In this module, you will learn about histogram. I assume you would have some knowledge about histogram. Even if you don't have, it will not stop you from learning this concept. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell notification for all our future video updates. Although it looks similar to the bar plot, or you can say bar chart, but it's not the same. Bars in the histogram are touching each other side by side in order to cover the entire range of the data without missing even the single value. Each bar in the histogram represents the number of times the value between a particular range had occurred, right? A histogram is the most commonly used graph to show frequency distributions, and a frequency distribution shows how often each different value in a set of data occurs. That's all you need to know about histogram. Okay, that's all about the theory that we need to understand about histogram. Now, let's get into the coding part. I'll open my Jupyter notebook and I'll make you understand the code and how you can make histogram out of the data that you have. So I'll be using the sample data, and you can use your data, whatever your application have, in order to build this histogram, right? I have opened my Jupyter notebook. Now, as usual, we have to import matplotlib.pyplot as plt and numpy as np. Okay, and we'll run this, execute this code. Alright, so now in this session we will learn about the simplest way to create a histogram, and then know about bins, alignment and color to histogram, right? What are the bins and how we can change the alignment, and what are the color options available in the histogram. Then we'll see the orientations option, right? How you can change the orientation of the histogram. Then we will change the display type of histogram. There are multiple options we will see, and how we can set the bottom threshold as well. And finally we will also try to plot the histogram over a logarithmic scale. Okay, these are the fundamental things that you need to know in order to work with matplotlib histogram features, right? Okay, start with the first one, the simplest way to create a histogram. So let's say we have a data, and data is like np.random.rand 1000. I have created a variable data and stored np.random.randn, right? This will create a random 1000 random data. Then we can use that random data for our plotting. Okay, so we have used this data to create another variable. Why we are doing this? Because in order to amplify this variable so that it looks prominent data on the scale, right? So the simple method is to use hist. plt.hist is for histogram, and plt.hist and bracket the data. So data means this h1, because this is the data that we have generated and this is the data that we are going to use in histogram. Okay, so plt.hist h1 is the data that we are trying to plot, and that we'll set the title as plt.title, the histogram, and the font size of the title will be 12. So this is one of the options that, in case if you don't know, you can put font size equal to whatever value you want to put, and then plt.show. We'll execute this and see the result. So this is what we have obtained out of the data. Moving to the next one, we will understand about bins. So bins are basically these blocks. You can see the top headings like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So the bins are the container basically. The matplotlib by default uses bin value of 10. So whatever data you will provide, it will be segregated into the 10 bins, and it will show the range. Range is also automatically calculated, and it will also show between this range like 3.2 to 3.4, not exactly, but let's say from 3 to 3.3, how much values are occurring in the data set, right? So similarly it will plot. So by default it takes value of 10. In case we wanted to define our own bins, then we can define using using hist function. Now we'll see how we can define that. So these two lines are same from the previous example. Now in this example, before we have just used hist h1, that's it, no configuration, whatever is default there, it is already applied. Now in this one I can specify the bins. So the second positional argument is bins. So I have defined 5 bins. I want 5 bins, And the alignment, so there is an option to align the graph or align the histogram plot, and I have by default also it is selected as mid, but I can change it to left, right or mid. There are 3 options. And the third one, although this is not only options, there are bunch of options, but we will be focusing only which are important. Okay, so we can also apply the color method, color to the histogram, and color can be applied using writing color equal to M. M is here magenta, right? You can put any standard color like red, green, blue, magenta, yellow, cyan, anything. This is what I have done. So created the bin, specify the alignment as well as the color. We are putting the title as same and plt.show. So this will create a histogram like this. Now we have 5 bins. As you can see, in the previous example we were having 10 bins. Now since we have specified 5, so it is coming as 5 bins. Alright, I hope you understand. Now moving to the third example, that is how to change the orientation. So everything will remain same from the previous example. The only changes that you will see is the orientation. As I told you, there are a bunch of features which you can apply one by one, and here to change the orientation we can select orientation equal to horizontal. So there are 2 options, horizontal and vertical. Vertical is default, so we can change to horizontal also, and the remaining things are same. So we'll execute and see what is the outcome. Same plot is in the vertical form has been now changed to horizontal form, right? So this was the simple tweak that we can use the orientation method to change the orientation of histogram, right? Okay, so moving ahead, the second last one is to apply histogram display type. So display type is like now it is solid, right? Everything is filled. That is called filled type. Matplotlib provide various options to display. One of them is step. There are other options like step filled, and filled. So I am just trying to demonstrate this example. So everything is same from the previous example. The only things that I have added, I have removed the orientation and added histogram type, hist type. You have to write HIST and then again TYPE. So double T comes, and hist type equal to step. So step will create a border of the histogram, right? And so another feature that I've added is bottom. So bottom is basically a threshold. Let's say I don't want to define the complete data. I want to show the data starting from 100. So this is kind of bottom threshold. So we can use bottom equal to 100 to start displaying data above 100, right? And the remaining things are same. So let's run this example and see what is the result. So as you can see here, till 100 there is no data, and it started showing data from 100. Here also it ended showing data. So 100 is the bottom, and from there we see all the data. And step is what exactly it has changed from filled to just a step or the border. Okay, I assume you understand. These are the simple things that you can play with the histogram. And finally, in case at some point of time you want to display these data on a logarithmic scale instead of a normal decimal scale, you can change to logarithmic scale using a function called log equal to true. So the default value is false. So if you make it true, the display will be changed from linear display to logarithmic display, which you can see here. As you can see, the scale has been changed from linear scale to a logarithmic scale, right? Sometime it is required. It depends on your application, what exactly you want it. And let's say if you wanted to plot over log scale, then there is an option to plot over log scale. All right. I assume you understand all the fundamentals, and definitely you should practice it by downloading this code. This code will be available as discussed on the GitHub, and you can download and change the data, as well as you can play with the other properties of the histogram, right? Well, that's all for this module, and thank you for joining with me in this session. I will see you in the next one.